Okay, GPT-5 launched last week. There's a lot of chatter in the ecosystem. We're going to go through our internal evaluation of it in this video. There are three main parts. The first one obviously is the model themselves, or the models themselves. The second one is who is the user, consumers and developers. And the third piece obviously is the insane level of hype around this product launch. Overall, getting straight into it, we found that the GPT-5 lineup does not exceed our existing solution inside Sourcetable, so we won't be adding it for immediate addition. Usually if we see a clearly demonstrable improvement, we do same day or next day release. In this case, that is not happening. This is surprising to me for a number of reasons. The first one clearly is when you look at the benchmarks, GPT-5 performs really well. There's longer context windows, there's intended better model cohesion over long thinking times. Simon Willison, clearly big fan. I like his work and usually I'm paying attention if he says something's good. In this case, when we run GPT-5 against our own evals, we find it doesn't perform as well. We use a suite of different open source tools. We also use best in class, so for example, OpenAI models, Anthropic models and others, and we're not finding a market improvement from GPT-5. I think that's for a number of reasons. The first one is that, as best I understand, one of the big breakthroughs for GPT-5 is an inbuilt model router. So you ask a question and it determines which model, it's a model of many models, which model is best to answer that question. Well, the way that Sourcetable works is we already do this. The only way our architecture is able to kind of do your work for you on autopilot is we've done a lot of architecture and scaffolding around smart selections of different models based on the various work or the task that needs to be done, whether it's spreadsheet work analysis or visualizations, what have you. That means we don't get a large bump in the benefits from a smart multi-model model. A model of many models, because we're already doing it. So it may just be for us the delta is not as large, and if you're a developer needing something off the shelf, this might actually be quite a big boost, but that's not what we're seeing on our evals. One thing I would like to say though is that the open source models we quite like. So we find at least a 20% bump over our Llama and DeepSeek comparisons. That's for more granular inline work using the command bar. So if you ever hit Command K and you're doing inline work, the open source model is very good for that. So we'll be including that in the app. That'll come out today, tomorrow. And then the other piece is that we find the open source model is very good as a prompt router itself. And so you've got GPT-5 and the suite of models that can do many tasks, and then you've got the open source model, and when you come in and say, hey, Sourcetable, can you do this task or that task? The very first thing we do is to check which model should go and answer this for you, which model should help you. And often it's a string of many models depending upon the complexity of the task. So, including the open source, not including the mainstream. I know there's definitely some cost savings to be had. We go for quality first, and so not going in today. I'm expecting a surgical addition over time, but overall, it's a bit surprising. I'm trying to think about why this is. I think part of it is that, and this is a theory that I'm working on, the last I checked, 85% of Anthropic's revenue comes from developers, whereas for OpenAI it was only 23%. So OpenAI, the bulk of their users are consumers, Anthropic, the bulk of their users are developers. And so you've got this disparity between industry benchmarks. Hey, are they passing the math test? Are they able to solve complex problems? And our experience, our lived experience of using these models, the qualia of it, so to speak, we find Anthropic much, much better on that front. And I suspect, I can't prove it, but I suspect part of it is who is the user. Clearly, OpenAI is a leading consumer company, Anthropic is a leading developer-focused company. I think the kind of texture and the tweaking and the training of these models comes out in who you're really aiming for and where you make your money from. So that's the downside, not using it, well, for the most part. Some of the upsides on the model router piece is I think this really speaks well to the architecture choice that we've chosen, but also it speaks very well to a lot of the multi-model toolchain players in the ecosystem. So this would be your Not Diamond, this might be Light LLM, this might just be developers using a suite of tools, whether it's to bring down cost, bring down latency, improve task-specific experience, etc. Another thing we have found, and I think GPT-5 kind of does this automatically, is that by selecting the sub-model for the user, it takes a lot of friction out of it. It is still very strange that we press a deep research button as opposed to the application itself knowing when to go into which mode or another. And so you'll notice inside Sourcetable, we actually don't give people a model choice preference. We just make the decision for them. We have our AI make an intelligent decision for them based on the task at hand. Replit does this, and I think they're correct in doing so as well. We kind of have an opinion on what creates the best app experience, and GPT-5 very much goes in that direction as well. The big winner from this, so I don't think developers really won, but the big winner from this clearly is consumers. I also use ChatGPT as a user. I pay for the Pro plan, or whatever the Max plan is, and I really like it. I think it's the best chat-based tool on the market for chat threads, and yeah, the quality obviously has gotten better. One of the things that's really nice is that it has a much better sense of knowing what it can't do. And so you spend less time messing around, getting bad responses, hallucinating. And I think a lot of what I do with ChatGPT is kind of docs-driven stuff, how-to stuff, and it's less hallucinatory on that front. Inside Sourcetable, one of the reasons I don't think we find as big an improvement, or really an improvement at all, is because so much of what we already offer users is based on a non-hallucinatory experience. It is analysis-driven, it is math-driven, it is provable through code, and thus hallucination improvements don't really add much to gain from our side because we've already done the work to not hallucinate for users when they're doing analysis. So, loser, developers, I guess, they didn't really lose anything. The winner, clearly consumers. The other winner is application developers. I think anytime a research lab brings out new models, maybe we don't use them all the time, but clearly your Windsurf, your Cursor, your Figma, your Sourcetable, Flux, Shortwave, the email service, all of these tools improve as model providers get better, and as application developers downstream of model providers, I think there's just a little bit more competition in the ecosystem, always, with every model release, and that is great. We are kind of the beneficiaries of this huge new platform shift, and overall, I think this may not have met people's expectations, but the reason for that is that things have just gone supernova. We have, it's so much faster than an iPhone moment. We have this new technology that's scaling just crazy quickly. We're expecting to see, agents 1000x over the next 3 years. That is a growth curve we're all kind of experiencing in real time, and that leads to a level of mania and expectations that I don't think can ever be matched, certainly not by any team. And so I think what OpenAI has done with this model release is actually fantastic, and I think ultimately haters going to hate, but we're all going to do great out of it. Those are my thoughts. If you have any, drop them in the chat below, and yeah, we'll keep you updated. There'll be more model releases, and we'll find new ways to improve Sourcetable through the various model releases, including, I'm sure, parts of GPT-5 as well. But for today, not including. Have a great day.